It will enslave all of us, no matter our ethnicity and our skin color. We can't allow it to take over our country. Many of us are getting involved for the first time in our lives, including me. We are being organized and mobilized. We will get hungcao to the finish line to defeat Western in November. To defeat the radical Democrats, such as the Squad. Patriot immigrants, let's fight together and side by side with hungcao to save our beloved country, United States of America.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Miss C. She's always supportive of any of our events for Captain Hungcao. I am confident that more Americans will come to know you and wake up to your warnings about the risk of losing our nation. We have nowhere else to go. Yeah, we see people coming from other countries to the United States. We never see people coming out from the United States to other countries. If we lose our country, we have no way out. So it's better for us to say. May I have an honor to introduce our next speaker, Colonel Dave Beckwith. Colonel Dave Beckwith has proudly served in the United States Air Force for 30 years. He is the former Principal Duty Director of the System Engineering Directorate and the National Reconnaissance Office. Colonel Beckwith ran an inspiring and encouraging campaign for Congress representing VA-10 in 2022. He is one of the first candidates to congratulate and vow to support Captain Hungcao soon after the primary. As Colonel Beckwith has said, his campaign ends, but we are still in the fight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Colonel Dave Beckwith.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you very much for letting me just take a couple of minutes to speak. What a great couple of speakers we've had. That was really inspiring. It almost seems like, I believe God has his hand on our nation and has blessed us. And there's evil in the world, but God can use that to his will. And who would have thought with the fall of Vietnam, that tragic event so many years ago, that God could use that to send us a warrior to help renew our country and to protect our country from the Marxist communism that is at its door. So we're very blessed to have him. I just briefly wanted to share a story from the campaign trail. Someone came up and asked me, how are you going to beat Jennifer Wexton? And I said a couple of things, and on the drive home, I thought to myself, I missed the opportunity. The question isn't how am I going to beat Jennifer Wexton? I'm one person. The question is, how are you going to beat Jennifer Wexton? How are we going to beat Jennifer Wexton? And that's the challenge I wanted to leave with everyone here. Hung and April are doing everything they can, but they're two people. The way we're going to win this election is everybody in this room and everybody outside of this room doing what's needed to get people to the polls. So the question I have for you is, what are you going to do to beat Jennifer Wexton? How many people are you bringing to the polls? How much money are you able to donate to the campaign? How many phone calls are you going to make? How many doors are you going to knock? How many neighbors are you going to talk to? You've heard great information here that you can talk to them about. But I'll give you one thing that I believe hungcao is going to solve for us. I just heard we're having a tremendous challenge getting our men and women to join the military, to sign up. Hung talked about that on the campaign trail. People are not being taught to love our nation. They're not being taught. They see all the things going on in the military, all the things they're being asked to do. As we force people out of the military who choose not to be vaccinated. hungcao knows what it takes to get people to want to join the military. And if we can't protect our nation, well, then everything starts to fall apart. So there's so many other issues. You've heard a lot of them tonight that I'm very passionate about as well. But there's just one small little thing that Hung knows how to get, will be able to solve for us. He will be able to get into the Defense Department and make sure that they're doing the things we need to attract our young people to defend our nation. And I want to leave you with one more thought. We've just got a great nation, and I will just say it said it took 9 rounds to get over the 50% part, but I just want to end with the reason it took him so long, so many rounds, is there were so few votes. Because he had collected them all. So it was a great race. It was an honor to run against him, and it's an honor to be here supporting him. Our next congressman, Congressman hungcao. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Beckwith. What could be happier than seeing the primary candidates unite behind the party's nominee? We would like to thank Colonel Beckwith, and we wish you all the best to your future endeavors. May I have my honor to introduce our next speaker, the RNC National Committee Woman for Virginia, Patty Lyman. Mrs. Lyman is an accomplished constitutional and immigration attorney who has spent decades advocating for life and religious liberty. She is a lifelong Republican with a grassroots passion that got her overwhelmingly elected by a Republican statewide in 2020. Her winning message, "The real Virginia is ready," sounded a little strange in 2020, but it's clear now she was right. She is a staunch and outspoken conservative who supports and fights for our Republican Party platform and the candidates who are faithful to it. Please welcome our good friend, Patty Lyman.
Thank you for that introduction and that Patty Lyman. Nobody's ever done that for me before. I thought it was great. It is a tremendous honor to be here tonight. It's just a joy. Every face I see, everyone I say hello to, it's just a joy because we are all so 10,000% happy to be supporting this man for Congress. You know, and every good Republican is supposed to get behind the nominee. It is my job as one of 3 statewide party officials in Virginia to get behind every nominee. And I would have gotten behind whatever nominee we had. But I'm going to tell you a little secret. The first time I saw the 11 candidates, maybe there was only 10 that night, on the stage, it was the first time that I had seen Captain Cal. And that night, I said to myself, that's the one. That's the one we need. And by the grace of God, we got him. It was mentioned earlier that Rich and Morton and I represent Virginia Republicans to the National Party. We are about to leave to go to Chicago for the summer meeting. the last winter meeting that we had, I'm on the resolutions committee. I'm one of 8 people that gets to vote on what gets to the full committee to vote on and what doesn't get there. And by the grace of God, I have that level of influence and involvement. And last time, we did some very controversial resolutions that irritated a lot of establishment Republican types at the RNC. One of them was a massive indictment of the People's Republic of China and the CCP for inflicting the Wuhan virus on us and demanding trillions of dollars in reparations. We had a lot of pushback for that. Oh, it's not possible, you can't do it. But our party has to stand for something. We have to take a stand on that. And we shoved that one through. You might have heard about this one. We also pretty much kicked Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger out of the party. First draft of that, I was a major co-conspirator getting that done, and there were people upset with me that how can you criticize other Republicans? And I said, well, if you didn't like what we ended up with, you would not have liked my first draft at all. So it watered down quite a bit. The reason it was important is that it has to mean something to be a Republican. It has to mean that we believe in certain things. There's a reason that everyone in this room is a Republican. I've got my reasons I'm a Republican. And when you get to a point where people that are supposed to be in your party become spokespeople for the opposite party, for Nancy Pelosi, and they sit there in their official capacity and deprive U.S. citizens of their constitutional rights to due process in an illegal committee, there's a certain point they have to go. If you're on a football team and the first half, somebody on your team keeps giving the ball to the other side, not only are you not going to let them play on your team anymore, they're not coming in the locker room for the halftime talk, okay? They're done. They're out. Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney are out. I got so much good response to that, you would not believe. We have another resolution coming up next week, dishing it out on China, this time taking a very, very strong stand that the U.S. would protect Taiwan if China invades Taiwan. We want the RNC to unequivocally say where we stand. You have no idea what kind of pushback we're getting on this. You have no idea, but you know what? If we can't convince everyone on the resolutions committee, we've got people in states all over the country that are ready to back us up, and we'll just take this thing to the floor. And we'll just have a big discussion about it. There might be some news cameras there, but if that's how they want to do it, that's how we're going to do it. There comes a time you have to take a stand. Most people don't know this about me, but when I was in my mid-30s, God called me to leave my business career and become an attorney, specifically to stop abortion. I felt God called me to do that. And at the time, I also felt God say to me, Patty, in your lifetime, you will see abortion illegal again in the U.S. That was almost 30 years ago. And that was in 1993, right after Clinton got elected. I mean, it seemed really crazy, but I really knew that it comes from God. So over the years, I've gotten to work on, I'm a constitutional litigator. I worked over the years fighting that issue, fighting against abortion clinics, deposing hundreds of abortionist clinic workers and death stewards so that my clients, peaceful pro-life protesters, could continue getting a message of life outside the clinics. I also had the privilege of representing women who were victims of the China's one-child policy, who had made it to the U.S., and the Clintons, instead of giving them refuge in the U.S., they put them in jail. So I worked hard to help represent those people, and eventually we got a way for women that have been through that to get asylum. But I knew that the day was going to come. I knew June 24th, 2022 was going to come. And it did. And that was an earthquake. The overturn of Roe v. Wade is the most significant event that I can think of in my lifetime. We have to educate people about what it means. There's a lot of people, including people in elected office, it's like they have Stockholm Syndrome. They think Roe is still the standard. They think we still have to do it. Oh, it has to be kind of like Roe because, well, that's how it is because, people have the right XYZ. What we found out in that court decision was they established very clearly and very methodically that there is no such right in the Constitution. And even more significantly, during this last 49 years, and all it has cost us in lives, during this last 49 years, that right never existed at all during that time. It was a bad fraud that cost a lot of people, and there are a lot of people still hurting because of it. So there's a lot ahead for us to do. But one thing that's going to be very important, and Captain Cal, you'll see this in the Congress because the issue is going to come up. We've had a lot of politicians in our party that call themselves pro-life. For years they called themselves pro-life, raised a lot of money, gotten a lot of support. I mean, ad nauseum. But they said, but I really can't do anything about it, because of Roe v. Wade. We can only do X, Y, Z because that's what Roe will let us do. Well, you would think that all those pro-life politicians would be really happy that Roe has been overturned, but such is not the case, because now they have to stay where they stand. And they don't have an excuse anymore for not doing everything they possibly can to protect life. There's no Roe v. Wade stopping them. So it's time for us to hold them accountable. And, eventually, you guys, everybody comes to a moment where they show who and what they are. We're going to have some very instructive months and years ahead of us. Speaking of a moment where we show who and what we are, I'm going to close with a story. I don't know how many people here have seen the movie Chariots of Fire. It was a movie from a long time ago, but it was set in 1924, and a group of English men, they were athletes, and they all went to the Olympics to represent the United Kingdom at the Olympics. The two stars of the movie, one was a fabulous athlete, a great intellect, and he was running to be the greatest runner. He was running for the glory. The other runner was a Scottish missionary named Eric Liddell. And Eric was dedicated, by the way, he was a missionary in China. He would later go to China. But Eric Liddell felt called of God to go and be in the Olympics when he was invited. He was a serious missionary, but he explained to his family that didn't want him to do this. He said, when I run, I feel God's pleasure. So he went to the Olympics as well. Just as he was getting on the boat to leave, a reporter said to him, hey, they just announced it. They're going to have the heats for your event. They're going to be on Sunday. And he was taken aback. Eric Liddell didn't run on Sundays. He didn't play on Sundays. He didn't work on Sundays. Sundays were for God. It became a big international incident because he was questioned by reporters, and they said, are you going to run in the heat? Are you going to do it? And he said, no, I will not run. I cannot run. So here he's dropping out of the Olympics. The future king of England is there pressuring him. You're letting England down. You're going to drop out of this event? Oh, they also try to come up with ways that he could run in the heat but not break the rules. They said, we'll find a church that you can go to really early that day, and then you can do the heat. And he said, they said, does your Sabbath have to, can't it just be in the morning? And he said, my Sabbath lasts all day Sunday. So he was in a dilemma. Finally, they came to a compromise. He ran another event. He didn't have to run on Sunday. He won. He was a pride to Britain. But he was later asked about that when he found himself on the world stage and was faced with a decision. Will he please man and do what man will applaud, or will he please God? They said, Eric, that decision must have been really, really hard for you under the pressure like that. And he said, no, it wasn't. That decision was made a very long time ago. As we stand here tonight, there are a lot of big decisions that Captain Cal will have ahead for him in the Congress or wherever it is that God takes you. We don't put limits on God. But I have a feeling that all of those important decisions, Captain Cal, have already been made. And that is why you can walk in confidence with the support of all of us behind you. Know that God is going to lift you up. You are a man who knows who and what he is. And we need you desperately. Desperately. So I leave you with full encouragement. I've said to you many times, anywhere you want me, anything you want me to do, I am there. I'm there 10,000%. But this is the moment where we all get to show who and what we are and what we're about and what's most important to us. We're at a moment where each of us has never had more influence than we do now. I urge you to use it well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lyman. The best thing that I did since the start of the campaign was that I introduced Captain Cal to Mrs. Lyman in the first candidate forum in Middleburg. Yeah, and she was so happy, and she told me that she was most impressed by Captain Hungcao. We are so honored to have you with us. Thank you. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we have seen too much of our country's failure under the Biden administration and the Democrats. It's the time to say enough is enough. So thousands of patriots responded to the call of the country to run for offices to save America. And as you know, this is a very special day. I gotta check the NBC website. Today marks six months since Captain Hungcao filed his paperwork to run for office. It's January 26, 2022, and now we are in a great journey. And we will not stop until 12 p.m. January the 3rd, 2023, when Captain Hungcao swear in as our next congressman. In this 2022 election, we have seen a record number of veterans running for office. Those heroes fought to protect us and protect America, and now they are fighting for us and for our country again. Speaking of heroes, may I have your attention at your table? And then you can see the small rectangular card, the blue one. I call it the hero card. Please rise it up if you see it. Thank you. This one. This is a card. This is a card. This is our signature. So, there's a fun fact about Captain Hungcao. Captain Hungcao is a proud American with Vietnamese root, and he keeps his Vietnamese name when he is American. And in Vietnamese, the word Hung is very special. In Vietnamese, we write the word Hung, H-U-N-G, with a great accent on the top of the letter U. It means hero. It means hero in English. So, please help me. When I say, let us sing, you call his name, and then I say two, you call for Congress. And when I say, let us sing, you call hero, and then I say two, and then you say Congress. Is that okay? We all get it? Alright, thank you. So, let us sing. Two. Let us sing. Two. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next Congressman from vinhdien, Captain Hungcao.
Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs, and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. What an honor it is to be here in the presence of great Americans and great patriots. I know some of you are probably wondering, why do you still fly the flag of a country that doesn't exist anymore? Why do you still sing their anthem? And there's a good reason why. Because we don't forget. We don't want to forget where we came from. We call ourselves Americans with Vietnamese roots. And this is a reminder to our posterity, to our children, that it took a lot of sacrifice for them to be here. And that freedom is not free, and its freedom is very fragile. And that's why we fly this flag and we still sing the anthem to remind our children to never take things for granted. Another flag that stands here is the flag from the Battle of Quai Son. This is the flag that gave us the freedom after our country fell, to come over here and make a new life. Because this amazing country gave us this opportunity. It lifted up a lamp beside the golden gates that said, come in. And in fact, Ronald Reagan said it best, and you can go to France, you can go to Germany, you go to England, but you'll never be French, you'll never be German, and you'll never be British. But anyone can come to the United States and be an American. But there's a price. It's service. It's giving back. Whether you open a business and hire new people and gave them a job and opportunity, whether you serve in public service or whether you serve in the military, that's your service back to this country. That's being paid back. And that's the debt we owe. And I paid back my debt. I served in the forces which guard our country and our way of life, and I was prepared to give my life in their defense because this flag was worth fighting and dying for. But after 25 years of fighting in Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Pakistan, in Albania, in diving under the waters to recover aircrafts and people that fell from the skies into the water, my fight wasn't over. Because there's a new threat out there. And like G said, it's this thing that disguises itself. It calls itself communism, socialism, Marxism, equity. That's the enemy of the United States. It goes against everything we believe in. It goes against the oath that we took. And all of us who served in the military or served in public service took the same oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That we bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That we take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that we will well and faithfully discharge duties of the office in which we're about to enter. So help us God. Except the problem is that people like Joe Biden and Jennifer Wexton have forgotten their oath of office. You see, this oath of office is not to any king, any president, and certainly not to any party. It's an oath to the Constitution of the United States. Can you put that up, please? It's an oath to we, the people. We, the people, call the shots. We, the people, control this country. Not any party, not any king, definitely not any president. We, the people. But instead of forming a more perfect union, what have they done? They've pitted against each other, man against woman, black versus white, gay versus straight. Instead of establishing justice, they defund the police. Instead of establishing domestic tranquility, they incite riots and burn cities. Instead of providing for the common defense, they weaken our military with woke training. And instead of promoting general welfare, they embrace this Green New Deal. And instead of ensuring, the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, they destroy this thing called the Bill of Rights, which came from Virginia. Those are the articles that we swear our allegiance to. That's what we're supposed to support and defend. But yet the left has forgotten that. They forgot their oath of office. Jennifer Royson has done nothing to help us. When parents were eager to get their kids back in school, she did nothing. She didn't listen to it, but she helped the teachers' unions. And she also voted against the bathroom bill, which would have kept a young 15-year-old girl in Loudoun County from being assaulted by a transgender man. And I say that in quotes because all he did is throw on a skirt. Instead of supporting our police officers when there were riots in the streets and crime was soaring up, she didn't once call our sheriffs. Sheriff Hill was just here. Sheriff Chapman was a good friend of mine. Sheriff Falls down in Fauquier County. She didn't call any of them and say, "Hey, what can I do to help?" Instead, she actually sponsored a bill that defunded the police. She also sponsored a bill that would put social workers in the place of brave police officers, in domestic violence issues, where they put the public and the social worker at risk. When fentanyl was exploding through our borders and poured into our streets, she did nothing. She did nothing while 2 million illegal immigrants came here and were handed free cell phones and debit cards on behalf of you and me, the American taxpayers. That's not how representative government works. Representative government works for you. They work for we the people. And it doesn't matter if we don't agree with them. You still have to be out there and represent and not put a sign on your door for the last 2.5 years saying closed for COVID. That's not how it works. When I go to Congress, I will represent you. I will be there with you every single day, just like I have in the past few months, talking, listening to you. Whether you agree with me or not, I'm going to listen to you. And I'm going to be there. And I won't have a sign up that says, "I'm sorry, closed for COVID." I'll represent you. I will make fiscally responsible decisions to get our economy back on track. I'll make sure that we take the political agenda out of schools and restore the freedom of education back to you, the parents. That's where it belongs. I will make sure our military is the most powerful military in the world because it's the only way to defeat the communists, China, and Russia. But ladies and gentlemen, I will never ever allow them to put us down or divide us. Our country's motto is "E pluribus unum," out of many one, but they keep pulling us apart. Yes, we're Americans with Vietnamese roots, or whatever your background is, but we're Americans. We're Americans and we're proud of it. And it's time for us to stand up and say enough. Enough of destroying our country. Enough of your woke ideology. Enough. We the people have had enough. We the people will not be quiet anymore. We the people will not sit down and shut up. We the people will not be afraid to be called Americans. We the people stand. We are Americans. Dedicated to the principles who made our country free. We'll trust in our God and the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to stand with me on November 8th. Stand and be heard. Stand and let them know that we, the people, are taking back control of our country. We, the people, are not done. We, the people, will never give up, and we, the people, are proud to be Americans. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Next, we're going to move to the Q&A session. There will be 3 persons going to help us. And please allow us to have this session in bilingual. Some will speak in English, and some will speak in Vietnamese. And we have Michael help us to translate. If any question, please keep to 1 minute limit, and then Kevin Hong will respond. And please keep the noise down so everybody can engage. And please be short and brief, straight to the point, not like me to wait too much.
Okay, we got a question in that. Go ahead, sir. Well, first of all, I'll get the microphone to you. I just want to, I get all excited about this. These speakers are so amazing. I forgot to thank our amazing host, Brendan Law, for putting this together, and Michael Chan, and also the beautiful media. So I have a question, right? I do have a question on that. Who can put a ring on that, man? All right, sir, please.
Yeah, I believe Congress just passed a law that at least the House did called Respect Marriage, and it's basically, I think it usurps the power of the states to define what marriage is, and it actually includes homosexual unions as a definition, federal definition of marriage. What would you do
to let the states make the decisions?
That's a wonderful question, sir. There's a 10th amendment for reasons, right? There's a 10th amendment. And let's be honest, the federal government has issued zero marriage certificates. Why? Because it belongs to the states. The rights belong to the states. The federal government is there to provide for a common defense, promote the general welfare, right? And all those other things I rattled off. That's complete government overreach. That's complete government overreach. And I think that's another issue that's going to go to the Supreme Court, because just like Roe v. Wade, that belongs to the states. And that right belongs to the states. I mean, I know I was asked this question before, but again, I'm here to protect this country and leave the decisions to the states and to we the people. Yes, thank
you. You have often, in meet and greets, talked about briefly the army of people or other candidates that have similar background to yours and that are very conservative and that are running for office. Can you give us a little bit of more of that story? Who are these people, which, if you can, in which states are they representing? Can you talk about that?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. So I was part of SEAL Pack, and I'm also part of the Green Beret Pack. These are warriors that I've fought alongside with in these other places. And we're sick and tired of it. We're sick and tired of them trampling over this Constitution that we swore to defend and protect. We're tired of them using this flag as, to burn. And so that's why we're standing up. Now, some of them didn't make it through the primaries, but most of them did, and it's going to be a red wave across the Congress. Right now in Congress, between the Senate and the House of Representatives, there's only 89, so 535 members, right? Both in the Senate and the Congress. There's only 89 veterans serving currently. That's the lowest we've ever had. And so that's why there's so many of us that are standing up saying, enough. Not that it's a requisite to be in the military to serve in Congress, but, at least you have to understand the sacrifices our men and women go through. You have to understand what they endure. That's why these people can't be making these decisions, never having worn a cloth of our nation. I mean, in Australia, for example, there's a war memorial right in front of their parliament. It's to remind the members of parliament the price of war. Every single time they walk out, every day after work, they see that war memorial, and it reminds them the cost of war. And this is why all the patriots and I are stepping forward. And since I've been nominated, the amazing thing is that all these other patriots have taken me aboard. Just this week, Mike Waltz in Florida, and August Comfort in Texas, and Jake. Oh my gosh, I'm like Jake in he's a class 92 in Naval Academy. So these are people that I've served with and I've known for years. And we're all going together. We're linking arms and we're going forward, saying, no, there's a constitution. You don't get to change the laws and the rules just because it didn't fit you. You don't get to stack the Supreme Court. You don't get to change the filibuster rules. They're there for a reason. They're there to keep a tyrannical government from just changing rules whenever they feel like it or they don't like the outcomes.
Any more questions?
All right, let me give you a quick status of the. While you get into the thing, let me give you a quick status of the race. Okay, the status is that we're winning. Okay. Today's 6 months, like Michael said, we've already raised the same amount of money that the last candidate did 2 years ago. At this point, after 18 months of her campaign, we've already raised just as much in the 6 months, and that's you guys. That's the green. That's us stepping forward and saying no, enough. There's 9,000 donors. 9,000 donors. What does that tell you? It means that people are tired. We, the people, are sick and tired. And even though in this fiscally constrained time, everybody's stepping forward saying, you know what, I'm going to invest in somebody who's going to fight for us and defend our freedoms and not take no for an answer. Sir, please.
All right. A couple of people already have by the English, so I think I'm the one only chance to speak the Vietnamese. American to speak Vietnamese. All right. My question. I forgot this. Thưa anh, với vai trò là một bậc phụ huynh, điều chúng tôi lo lắng là về giới trẻ và con cái của chúng tôi. Vấn nạn bắn giết trẻ em trong học đường, và vấn đề thứ hai là vấn đề phá thai đang bị lạm dụng rất là nhiều tại Hoa Kỳ này, và nói riêng là tại Tiểu bang Virginia. Nếu anh trở thành một thượng nghị sĩ đại diện cho chúng tôi, thì anh có kế hoạch, anh sẽ có một cái chương trình nào để bảo đảm an toàn hơn cho giới trẻ cũng như nạn phá thai được chấm dứt ra địa bàn khác bây giờ?
It'll be translated, yeah.
Thank you. So the question for the gentleman is, as a parent, he's concerned about the younger generation, especially in school shootings and in abortions. So he asked Captain Hungcao for his plans when he represents the vinhdien to give a stop on it, or to pass regulations that stop the massacres or the nightmares like that. Okay.
So, it's impossible to legislate morality. You can't legislate morality, because if it's not guns, it's going to be anything else. And what we need to look at is mental health, right? We have to look at the issue at hand, which is mental health. How can somebody walk around all day long and look at some of these guys that cause Uvalde and Parkland. I mean, you look at them, not to be prejudiced, but look at them, they don't look normal, right? I mean, they look like weirdos. I mean, at some point somebody should have said, hey, and I say weirdos because it's just, because when they're walking around with things that are, how do I say this? Look, one of the kids was riding around with bags of dead kittens and so where was the community? Where's the community? Where are the parents? Where's the parents, first of all? Where's the community? Where's anybody that said, hey, son, come here, what's wrong with you? Let's talk. That's what the community, and we need to push it down to the communities. We can't expect for government to do everything. Federal government can't solve all the problems. We can't legislate morality. We have to push it down to the local levels, to the state levels, to the local level, to the counties, to the families, to the churches, to bring these people in and take care of them. That's what we owe our people. And so that's the first question. I think the second question is about pregnancy, birth rate, or abortion. Look, I've worn this uniform for a long time to preserve all American lives. In Vietnam, actually sometimes in Vietnam, when they ask my age, I'm thrown off because my mom always asks that 1 year, right? I think she does it for the really so bad, whatever, in just case, not the year. So she changes the year by 1 year but they always add in that extra year because that year in the womb. Yeah. So in the Vietnamese culture, life begins at conception, right? And so that's where we count that year in there. And most Americans will agree that abortion at birth or after birth is immoral. Like this is what they're allowing in Virginia. This is what my opponent wants. Jennifer Weiss wants to be able to kill a baby right when it's born. Can we all agree that's evil? That is so evil. We have to stop that. So where do you stop it? The day before the baby's born? A week before? Where do we stop the line? Why are we not looking at issues like adoption? Why can we not make it streamlined? Why can't we streamline adoption and make it easier? Do you understand it takes about 2 years to adopt a child? It costs about $30,000 to $50,000 to adopt a child. Why are we not streamlining that and helping that? Why is the community not doing that? Why are we not concentrating on preserving life instead of destroying life?
Thank you, Captain Hung. And I believe our time's up. Oh, one more? You have time for one more question?
One more.
Since the 2020 presidential election, we've seen so much domination by the big tech, the rich, the truly rich, the billionaires. You look at the Mark Zuckerberg, he donated some $70 million to fund the 2020 presidential elections in the United States. But for people around like you and me cannot do it. So once in Congress, what can we do to put a stop or put those people, the big tech, the billionaires, in check?
Those are wonderful questions. It's difficult because there's FTC rules and laws, right, which only limit you to $2,900 per person per race. Okay, so I'm sorry. I know some of you want to give $10,000 tonight, but you can only give $2,900. But there's laws, and we need to make sure that the laws are followed. And unfortunately, they put it in the tax and on all these other issues. But here's the thing. All the money in the world is not going to get everybody to come out to vote. Right? All the money's not going to... If you look at the primaries, we had, like Gary said, we had more people come out to the primaries than we've ever had in the history of the 10th district. And that's we the people saying enough. And we do that in November. When you bring your friends out in November, just overwhelm those polling stations with people who are willing to say enough. Enough of, we don't need money. We just need you and your friends to come out and vote. And that's how we're going to win. Yes, sir. Can't turn down a man of God.
Yeah. Thank you. I think the most important thing right now in our country is voter fraud. And I would like to know what is your campaign doing about that? Because it doesn't matter how many votes, it matters who counts the votes. So I'd like to know what are you going to do with that in that perspective, please.
Okay.
Well, sir, the Republican Party has put a lot of money into ensuring voter integrity. And like I said, look, there's 900,000 people in the 10th district. If they somehow get 10 million votes, we know it's illegal, right? We know it's wrong. And so that's why we have to come out. You know, they're not going to expect this huge wave. That's why we overwhelm them with all the voters. Because they're expecting really about 58% people voting. If we get 100% votes out there, it doesn't matter how much they cheat because they're not going to, they can't anticipate that many people coming in, so that's why we're going to overwhelm them. Yes, sir.
I guess that's it. No, the program is in.
Yes, time's over, right?
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Now, Bill, he mentioned about the amount of 2,900. I just want to let you know this guy had maxed out already. So, if anyone had maxed out on the before the primary, it reset again, right? To that. So please do everything you can to support him. And for tonight, before we hand the stack of envelope up to Captain Hungcao, we would like to ask if anyone here still want to turn in some help. We have Miss Graham, Miss Lynn, and Michael to go around and collect, and then we will have a representative to hand it to Captain Hungcao.
Thank you, Gary Hayes again. I just wanted to tell you that if you have maxed out, there's a lot of different maximums in federal election law is complicated. But if you have maxed out with the campaign, you can donate money to the Virginia 10th District. And you can donate up to $10,000. That's the federal max, the 10th District. And I can guarantee you that every penny you give us is going into getting this man elected. We just purchased about $20,000 worth of signs for the campaign that will be arriving in about a week. So if you want to get money to 10, feel free, please.
Hold on tight. Waiting for us. No, I'll take that stack. Okay. Please come up and Trent, are you ready? Anyone else? Anyone else want her to hand over? Joe? Check. Last call. Go on. Twice. And more. Thank you very much. Once again, we cannot do this without your presence, and I gratefully appreciate for your willingness to join us and be part of the event. I mean, it's only the three of us, and nobody knows who we are really. I mean, I know Captain Home since 2019 through the event. I don't know him before. I literally just don't know who he is. And I just sent him an invite to a Vietnam War veteran event. And he and his brothers just accepted willingly. And that just blew my mind. And then get to know him, it's just more like a brother. Knowing him, serving in the Navy now, so I don't know this. And I'm on the enlisted officers. I call him sir. I don't call him sir. Sir?
Actually, now as your congressman, I work for you, so I'll call you sir or ma'am.
Hey! Ooh, well, once again, thank you, sir, and I wish you all the best, good luck, and we'll make it to the finish line. Please, everyone, stand up and give him a big applause, and please, with me. Go!